And then one day when I was in my elementary school classroom, because I used to be a teacher, for those of you who don't know, just as I moved my laptop computer from the teacher desk to a student desk about 3 feet in distance, my external hard drive that was stuck in the USB port of my computer conveniently slipped out and fell onto the floor. Oh, it was the only place I had my book and research saved, and it crashed. Y'all, Hey sis, welcome to the Entrusted Women Podcast, a one-point podcast created to equip Christian women communicators of color. Now, every episode focuses on a single point to equip you in one of 4 areas: purpose, writing, speaking, and business. Along the way, I will share stories, lessons, tips, mistakes, and real-time experiences that I am learning on my journey as a Christian woman communicator of color. Now, let's dive into episode 51. Today's one point is planning is half the battle when it comes to writing a nonfiction book. Listen, it took 26 years for my book to go from ideation to publication, but the reality is I was writing during that 26-year period. I was working on the book that I believed would be published traditionally someday. Not only was I writing, I was also researching. I was checking out books from the library over and over again and pulling out quotes with page numbers. I was transcribing. I was having conversations. I was on the hunt for valuable research that I could include in my nonfiction book someday. And then one day when I was in my elementary school classroom, because I used to be a teacher, for those of you who don't know, just as I moved my laptop computer from the teacher desk to a student desk about 3 feet in distance, my external hard drive that was stuck in the USB port of my computer conveniently slipped out and fell onto the floor. Oh, it was the only place I had my book and research saved, and it crashed. Y'all, I lost everything. All of my research with my page numbers and about 60 pages of my manuscript. It was devastating, to say the least. But I got through it, and I now have a published book, so we're good. The benefit, though, of having research with page numbers and having done the pre-work, having a general idea of where I was going to take the reader in the book and who the book was for, is that when I did start over, I was able to start over, but it wasn't from scratch. I had a plan, and everything I wanted to say was in my heart and my mind. So, you may be saying, okay, what about me? Where is the best place to start when I want to write a nonfiction book? I would recommend start with the book that's in your heart and your head. Many nonfiction authors are writing a book that is birthed out of their life experience. This is where our ideas generally come from. A lot of people want to write memoirs, but it's not really recommended because no one wants to read about your life if they don't know who you are. But if you can extract a lesson or a gift, a surprise gift or a principle, then they might be more inclined to read it. For example, how to move forward when it feels like your life is over. Failing into success, the story of how I became a millionaire in my 30s. Even though I'm not in my 30s, amen. Once we know a topic, we then need to know our audience. Knowing our audience will help us to cover pain points that should be addressed in our nonfiction book if it's going to resonate and be meaningful for our reader. The next thing we need to do is research. Y'all, the research, it doesn't have to be limited to reading books. It could be in a podcast. We can conduct interviews. We can do surveys. We can look at our own lives, ask ourselves questions. What stories or conversations would be great to include in your book to enhance it? What quotes or biblical stories? Imagine taking all of this content, everything that we research, and then placing it on individual sticky notes on a wall. Once we begin to organize our content into a table of content, put our ideas on paper, then we can just Move those sticky notes and say, I want this story in chapter 4, this story in chapter 5, this quote right here. Now we not only have an organized direction for our book, we also have stories and quotes and research that we will be including in each chapter. It becomes our guide that we can closely follow so that we can knock that nonfiction book right out of the park. If we are doing a nonfiction book, we need to remember not to make it boring. We still need to include dialogue and stories and develop the people, the characters, how we describe them in our book so that it's interesting for the reader. We still need to use language the reader can understand. No need to try and wow them with fancy words if they don't know what those words mean. The most important thing I think that we need to remember when it comes to finishing this book is faith. Y'all, I had to believe against all doubt when that external hard drive crashed that I was supposed to write this book, and by God's amazing grace, I did, and it was published. You will likely have obstacles. Maybe you already have. You will have doubt. You will feel crazy and nervous and scared and the imposter syndrome, but sis, do it anyways. Persevere, keep writing, and finish. Take your book from ideation to publication because there is someone who is attached to your message. There's somebody that needs it. Now, I am so excited to announce that Entrusted Women now has a partnership with Leafwood Books. Members of Entrusted Women University will receive 6 weeks of training to write their nonfiction book proposal. The proposals will be evaluated and the winner will receive a writing contract and a cash advance. Won't he do it? This will be a game changer for so many women, and I'm excited about it. Sis, if you are interested and you are not already a part of Entrusted Women University, girlfriend, what are you waiting on? Simply click the link below to get more details. Additionally, I want to invite you to join our community of entrusted women that are focused on determining the message that we have been entrusted with and the intentional purpose that God created us for. All you need to do is click the link in the description section below to join our free Facebook group. And join me next week as we talk about how to end your signature talk.